Okie dokie. Let the real basketball begin. Please. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm sufficiently hyped up after the Knicks have played three teams that are not very good and in particular, don't shoot it very well. Or at least didn't shoot it very well when they played these teams. Different animal coming on Wednesday night in the Memphis Grizzlies. Knicks win. Knicks finished the preseason at 3-1. They look good tonight. You could probably say in some respects this was their most impressive looking performance. A lot of good stuff, some not so good stuff. We'll get into all of it. I would have loved to start off this post game with the guy who should be the lead story, and that's Mitchell Robinson, because my goodness gracious, what a game that Mitch had, in addition to a couple other Knicks who had nice games. But we got to start, unfortunately, with an injury that we don't know anything about the severity of. But Obi Toppin, when he was attempting a three-pointer in the second half, was kind of, the video showed, nonchalantly backpedaling on his three, taking a couple hops, and then hopped right onto a fan's foot in the front row. Stayed in the game for a bit, went to the bench. He was working with some of the stretch bands, and then he went back to the locker room. Obviously, hope he's okay. But he's a young player. The Knicks are typically cautious with injuries, or at least they have been under, over the last few years. And I was sitting there on my couch as they announced that Obi Toppin had gone back to the locker room, and I was thinking to myself, after Jalen Brunson, is Obi Toppin in the conversation for the Knicks' next most indispensable player? The crazy thing is, it's you probably have to throw in Julius Randle too. But, Julius Randle is frustrating to many of us, although he just finished off an absolutely exemplary preseason. So we have absolutely no reason to complain about Julius Randle right now. But yeah, after Brunson, Randle and Toppin, you could argue, although I guess maybe Mitch is shoving himself into that conversation too, in terms of the most indispensable Knicks, because as good as RJ Barrett is, and as good as any other wing or guard is that you want to name, there are at least players that you can slot in and you can go to. Thank you. Andrew puts up, why do you hate the indispensable RJ Barrett, John? You want to say RJ is more indispensable than Obi, that's fine, especially the way he's been shooting it in the preseason. We're going to get to that too. But yeah, they need a backup four. And if Obi is going to be out for that first game, what are they going to do? We were talking about it a little bit pre-show, and Andrew was like, maybe that's how Cam gets into the rotation on opening night. And I'm not so sure, Andrew Claudio, because who's waiting by the bat phone. I don't know where he is. Where's he living these days? Andrew would know better than me, because no one stands Carmelo Anthony like Andrew Claudio.
This is how I win.
What do you think Melo's bat phone looks like? I don't know. No, all kidding aside, I hope Obi plays. At this point, we have no reason to believe he won't play. But anytime a player goes back to the locker room, you got to at least take it seriously. I'd be fascinated. I'd be unhappy if he didn't play, but at the same time, I'd be fascinated to see what they would do, because the games are going to matter now. And, I don't want to crap on Cam Reddish at the beginning of the post-game pod, because I just been there, done that. Nothing has changed in this preseason game. He looked the same as he did in the previous three. Not good. I just can't fathom him getting minutes for a team coached by Tom Thibodeau that is intending on doing everything they can to win a game on Wednesday against Memphis. But hopefully we don't have to cross that bridge. Let's talk about Mitch. Mitchell Robinson I'm really happy he had this game. And we should say the stat line: 20 points, 9 of 12 shooting, 12 rebounds, 9 on the offensive glass. 8 of those were in the first half. He also had a couple of blocks and a couple of really nice steals, looking like Nerlens Noel there on a couple of possessions on the defensive end with those swipey hands. I'm really happy he had this game, because I think I wrote after the last preseason game, the one against Indiana, in Indiana, I think I said and I wrote that I thought Mitchell Robinson was arguably the most consistent Knick through 3 preseason games. And tonight, he was, I think, arguably the best Knick. I was thinking about it. I didn't tweet anything about it, but I we'll say it now. It's not as simple as that. I got to the point before this preseason started where I took Mitchell Robinson for granted, or I took what he did for granted. And it's not as it's an oversimplification to say that he became like an afterthought in my mind. But when he signed the contract, which was a contract, as we've said all summer long, it's a contract that's signed to be traded. It's declining in value, for a guy that has a very translatable skill set to any team that just has their big men, kind of play in that role, protect the rim, run to the rim on the other end. And so I didn't spend nearly enough time. This is my fault. Spending enough time thinking about Mitchell Robinson's role as part of the core of this team moving forward. And that's a slight to Mitch, and that's a bad job by me and anyone else who may have done the same thing. Again, and it's tough because he has a limited skill set, but the skills that he has are so freaking good. And you can make the argument at this point, as Tibbs said before the game or after the game the other day, yeah, I think you could say he's the best offensive rebounder in the league. And I think you can say with a straight face that he's the best rim protector in the league. All due respect to Rudy Gobert. And Rudy does other things. Bam Adebayo does other things. I'm not saying he's the best defensive center in the league, but in terms of the specific skill of deterring and blocking shots at the rim, I think it's like him and Gobert. You want to throw Rob Williams in there in that conversation. Obviously, Embiid is a special player too, but again, he does other things on defense as a center. Bam has a whole skill set that I'm sure he'll get a defensive player of the year at some point. But like Mitch is just what he does really well. And the complaint about him for 4 years now has never been him when he's at his best. It's been how often can he be at his best and how lackadaisical is he when he's not at his best? Because it's just been the same, seems like the same show for 4 years. And you could blame some of that on injury, but it's just, there's never been the consistency game to game, week to week, month to month. It's 4 preseason games, but man, again, most consistent Nick as far as I'm concerned. So you never know how guys are going to react to getting paid. Maybe this is how he reacts. So that would be great. After Mitch, we could go in one of a couple directions. I'll go Brunson because Brunson had a couple rough shooting games, and it was just nice to see him hit shots. 3 of 5 from behind the arc, 10 of 16 overall, 27 points on 16 shots. That'll play. 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Again, I feel like I don't need to talk about Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson is just going to be a metronome for this team, and he's going to be so consistent every night. That was great to see. RJ Barrett, 19 points on 13 shots. Again, you love the efficiency so far. Had a couple 2-pointer shots that maybe weren't great, but 4 for 7 behind the arc. He finishes the preseason shooting above 50% from deep and shooting above 50% from deep on decent volume. And man, I was DMing someone before who I'm sure will be coming with a super chat at some point if I had to guess. I think RJ's 3-point shooting might be a bellwether for this starting lineup because I feel like we know what we're going to get from Mitch. We know what we're going to get from Brunson. Whether it's Fournier or Grimes, I don't really even care. I think we know what we're going to get from that position at both ends. And this is going to sound crazy. I kind of feel like at this point, and this is probably the next guy we should talk about, I kind of feel like we know what we're going to get from Julius Randle, who has been, again, it has to be repeated, everything we could have asked for in the preseason. He finishes tonight, didn't shoot it well, but I thought because he missed all 5 of his threes, and that's going to be the difference for Julius when he has great games, when he has just like mediocre games. He missed all 5 of his threes. I didn't think they were bad shots. He just didn't make them. And that's going to be important. And you want to tell me like his shooting is going to be a bellwether? I guess. But I'm curious to see how often he goes to the 3-point shot because I don't think he's going to need to go to the 3-point shot nearly as much as like Barrett has to hit the threes. and has to take them willingly. And he's done both this preseason. And if he's going to hit him, not at 50%, but if he's going to hit him at above 40% on real volume, this offensive starting lineup becomes really difficult to guard in a weird way. Even though they're not like the perfect complexion of NBA skills the way the game is played today, I think they're going to become really hard to guard because when you throw in Brunson's ability to make threes, and that's the thing, RJ Barrett, the Knicks couldn't hit the far side of a barn tonight outside of RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson. They were the only players for the Knicks tonight who hit any threes until Deuce McBride hit a meaningless one with, I think, about a minute to go. The Knicks finished tonight 8 of 33 from downtown. They weren't even 25% from deep. And the fact that they still won this game going away and looked pretty good doing it, I think that's a good sign. Anyway, Brunson's going to hit his threes, certainly off the catch. Fournier will do that, or Grimes if Grimes starts. And I think RJ, if he's going to do it, it's just so important. All right, let's touch on Grimes and Fournier quick, and then I guess the bench, and then we'll go on to the super chats. I at this point, I guess it's not that I'm not interested in who starts at shooting guard, because Thibodeau clearly gave Grimes a couple of runs there with the starters to probably see how he looked. I think it's going to be Fournier. I'm fine with that. I would not be surprised in the least if Fournier starts and Grimes closes a lot of games. Obviously, exceptions will happen if Fournier is having a very good game or if Grimes is having a poor game. But that's kind of what I would expect moving forward. Or if Grimes isn't closing games, maybe someone else who's having a good game that comes off the bench closes games. Grimes is rusty. He missed both of his shots. I don't care. That's a topic that bears watching. And then the bench, I'm not getting worked up over the bench. I was a little hard on Quickly after the last game. I'm not going to be hard on him again. He's not hitting shots right now. I think, you look back to the beginning of last season when he went through that stretch. Maybe not at the very beginning, but early on in last season. And I'll end with this, and then we'll go to the super chats. When he was playing like he was unsure of himself, when he was trying to be too much of a point guard, I think early on, and it just wasn't working for him. There was like a 20-30 game stretch, and it was really affecting his shooting. It looked like he kind of had his confidence, jostled a little bit. I don't know if that's what we're seeing the last couple of games, is him again kind of continuing to try to adjust to what he knows is going to be a bigger role, because that's the other thing I was paying attention to tonight. The first guy off the bench actually was Hartenstein. I'm going to get this right by the regular season. Hartenstein was the first guy off the bench in the first half, and then it was Quickly and Obi. And then in the second half, I'm pretty sure it was Quickly was the first guy off the bench. Quickly's going to play a lot of minutes. I think he knows he's going to play a lot of minutes. I think he's going to play more minutes than Derrick Rose. I think he's going to play more minutes than any bench player, with the possible exception of Quentin Grimes. So I don't know. I maybe he's feeling a little bit of pressure, trying to live up to the hype. The point is, I'm not worried about his shooting. I think his shooting's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. Not worried about him. And that's really it. Rough shooting game for the bench. Nobody really hit shots, but they, still won the game, still look good overall. And that is about all I have to say about that. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I don't know if there's a line yet on Wednesday's game. Andrew, if you want to look while I'm taking the super chats, if there's a betting line for Wednesday's game, I'll be curious what that is. But let's get it going. Let's see what people have to talk about. Of course, we start with the one and the only Robert Cross. Is it fair and reasonable to say, oh boy, how did I know it was going to start about this player? Money Mitch will be an all-star this year. Hashtag value contract. Hashtag trade cutlets. That's a new one. Hashtag 53 wins. Before I answer that question, I'll say that Andrew and I, completely off the cuff and not planned, went through the Knicks' entire schedule at the tail end of today's Patreon episode that we recorded, but we went through how the Knicks will do against essentially every team in the league. And man, if this team wins 53 games, Robert, What did I say? I think I said something along these lines last episode. I'll fly to San Diego and I don't know, take you out for drinks. Man, for I of all the different accolades Mitchell Robinson could get, I think I would not bet on All-Star. I think he could be in the conversation for an all-defense team, but that's tough because there's just so many really elite defensive centers in the league. And like, I know Jared Allen made it for the Cavs last year, and like in my core, I believe that Mitchell Robinson is a better player than Jared Allen. I can't get there. Not yet. I can't. Check back with me in a few weeks. How about that? Oh, thank you, Andrew. The Knicks are currently +6 in Memphis on Wednesday. That seems fair. +235 money line. I like that. I think I like the money line bet more than I do the +6. Yeah, I like that bet. That's pretty good. Jeremy E, what's going on, Jeremy? One takeaway from this game is they still need to move off of Randall. I hope Obi is okay. I thought Randall was fine. I know he didn't hit shots, but I thought he was okay. I thought his decision making was good. Didn't think he over dribbled that much. I thought he made fairly quick decisions. I can't look. You guys know me. I'll any excuse to get on Julius Randle, I will, because I really just still have a bad taste in my mouth from last season. But I think he's been good this preseason. I think he's been as good as he could be. Let me say that. Let's talk about a backhanded compliment. But one thing, for me, my biggest question going into the summer, my second biggest question maybe going into the summer, was whether they would move off of Randall. And I think moving forward, that probably does remain my biggest question, is if his value rebounds and if some team around the league is like, okay, this guy, we trust him again. We trust him to be a good, good player on the contract that he's on, a contract that's going to probably look better as the years go by. And a team is willing to give up a real thing for him. But I still can't see them ever moving him just to move him. I'd be surprised. That's all I'll say. I'd be surprised at this point. Drew P, what's going on, Drew? Brunson looked great. RJ shot is real. Mitch, ... He doesn't even have the words for Mitch. I don't have the words for Mitch either. Mitch is awesome. Yeah, Brunson's a man. Brunson's so good. I love watching Jalen Brunson. He's, as I've been saying. Robert with another one. First time, long time, John, of course. I'm off to Vegas for a value bet on RJ for most improved player, and the wins over. Definitely take the wins over. I like the wins over. Do you think they are a dark horse for the for the Eastern Conference Finals? Let me list the the most probable dark horses to the dark horse things the Knicks could do. Most probable, the Knicks are a dark horse to be a top 6 seed, which is a polite way of saying a dark horse to be the 6th seed. Is there a universe in which I could see them being the 6th seed? Sure. Next most, this is now lower in probability, would be the Knicks win a playoff series. Which, man, Robert, if you can get, what odds would you have to give me? Andrew, I want you to chime on this. What odds would you have to get to bet on the Knicks to win not a play-in game or 2 play-in games, to win a playoff series in the year of our Lord 2023?
Jeez. Plus,
it can't be too insane because any team is a threat to make a trade. So it's like,
that's literally the spin zone I was going to try and make, is that if you're telling me that the Knicks trade for somebody that becomes available because some teams are punting to try and get Victor, then yeah, it could be tough. And we're talking playoff series, right?
Playoff series.
Oh, you'd have to. Listen, I'm the optimistic Knicks fan that thinks they're going to win 45 games. They're not winning a playoff series this season. They're just not.
So plus 2,000.
I'd rather keep my $100.
Okay.
I'd rather keep like whatever you're putting down as your vig. I'm just go buy a meal. Take your significant other out for dinner. Like I am high on this Knicks team. I'm high on them trying as hard as they can to get to the middle, and then we recalibrate next season when the next star becomes available.
There you go. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I have already, speaking of optimistic Knicks fan, I already hammered that money line for Wednesday's game. Let's go.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Listen, you're getting those types of odds.
I like it to +2. Yeah. I'd like it better if it was like +250, but I'll take +230.
FanDuel's 210, which, John, you're still getting 2-1.
I'd like 2.5 to 1 more.
All right.
Yeah.
Why do you hate the Knicks, John?
Next question, please. I can't talk about this anymore. Dan, what's going on, Dan? Dan Hidalgo asks or says, once Mitch gets a couple easy looks, his game opens up. Mitch is but yes, I agree with you. But I do think part of what Mitch needs to continue to improve on is like, regardless, like you could probably say 10 different things about like the best players in the league do this, but I do think like the best players in the league, whether they're having a good game or a bad game, it's like the Tiger Woods thing. It's like, put the last shot out of your mind, focus on the next shot. And the reason Tiger was very good for a very long time is he did that better than anyone. And I think the best NBA players do that better than anyone. And I think sometimes Mitch, if like you for years now, you've been able to take him out of his game. So I think this kind of relates to that. I know it's not what you're saying. You're just saying like, just get him, let him see the ball go through the basket a few times, and it'll like kind of get him going and get him motivated. I completely agree. But what I feel like I like what I've seen about him this preseason is his approach on every defensive possession has been unwavering to me. And again, these games don't count. So I almost feel like it's even more of a positive because the games don't count. But yeah, I think that's a good comment. It's a really good comment. And I don't disagree at all. Next up, Forgotten NYC. What's going on, man? Where is Crow RJ? Hashtag All-Star. Hashtag 37% from 3. We're only going 37%? I don't know where he is. He's in one of these cabinets. I'll find him. Unless my wife threw him out, because I know the Crow has scared at least one of the Macri children, and probably both of the Macri children. I think my wife may have hid the Crow. King JR. The Knicks have a point guard. RJ looks to continue to build on last year. This season is going to be fun. That's all I want. I just want a fun season. I can't do another season like last year. I just don't have it in me. So if this is a fun year, this is a fun 41-42 win team, just sign me all the way up. And I think it will be fun in largest part, for the two reasons that you mentioned. I think Brunson and Barrett. I think here's a good parlor game. By the end of this season, RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson will rank as the what number duo in the NBA. Like, is there a chance that they will be a top 15 duo in the NBA? Is that insane? Will they be top 20? Is that reasonable to predict that they will be top 20? Like, where those two end up, I think is just it's you could argue that right along with the Randall thing, it's the most fascinating conversation that you could have about this team. By the way, Tibbs said afterwards that Obi Toppin tweaked his ankle and he's getting checked out right now. So no real news. But like, because if you can make an argument for those guys as a top half of the league duo by the end of the year, then I think you could make this a corresponding argument that the Knicks are one star away from being at least a fringe contender if it's the right star. So we'll see. Cologne Loring, Taj Gibson and Kristaps Porzingis will be top 3. That's a fantastic comment. Oh man, I miss seeing the big goofball out there on the court tonight, KP, in all of his KP-ness. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? Long time no talk. Preseason overreactions. Number 1, Jalen Brunson is an all-star. I couldn't tell if you meant all-star or you misspelled ass by leaving one S off. I'm happy I got it right. Will Jalen Brunson be an all-star this year? Man. Here's the thing. If you pick Jalen Brunson for all-star, you're not picking RJ Barrett for all-star because the Knicks are not getting... Well, no. I'm trying to think. The Cavs got 2 all-stars last year. One was an injury replacement. And they were arguably... And Allen was arguably the last guy out made the team. What place were they in? I feel like they were 6th at the time that the all-star voting ended. No, the Knicks are not getting 2 all-stars this year. What am I, fucking crazy? The point is, if you're picking Brunson for all-star, you're probably not picking RJ for all-star. I think Brunson's the more likely of the 2. I think some people would disagree with me, but number 2, RJ will hit 200 threes. You know, I like that one. Stealth RJ Barrett coming for to be the 3rd Knick ever with 200 made 3-pointers in the season. 3, Mitch will be in the all defense convo, and number 4, Isaiah Hartenstein will start slow, but he will be fine. So the thing about Hartenstein starting slow, because I think I've seen a few people say something of that ilk, because hasn't popped as much, and the threes haven't fallen the last couple of games. I think so much of Hartenstein's gonna get it right. Hartenstein's value is that he makes others around him better, in particular on offense, by how he operates on offense. And I think that chemistry takes time to develop. So I don't know if it's him that will start slow, but I do believe that the chemistry between the backups will take time to develop. Now, the backups played with Cam in the first half, so I don't part of me wants, and they played with the Cam in the last game. So part of me wants to discount their performance a little bit for that reason. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to start that slow. I think they'll work out the kinks pretty quick. I'll disagree with that last one. So we'll see. CJ Cervantes, what's going on, CJ? Boy, am I glad the Wizards drafted before us. Taco Bell looked extra soggy tonight, man. I was doing, as you guys know, anybody who subscribes to the newsletter, I do my prospect reviews one a week for, I don't know, a month or 2 months before the draft. And I did one on Johnny Davis. And I came away after watching a few of his games and just looking at the numbers and being so this guy over the second, he came out of nowhere, had a great first, I don't know, whatever number of games he had. And then over the second half of the college basketball season, continued to take a lot of really, really difficult shots and really difficult mid-range shots. That's the thing. A lot of difficult mid-range shots, and wasn't making them at the college level. Not a great athlete, not a dead-eye three-point shooter, either off the catch or off the bounce. And I was like, man, if there's a guy in this range that has bust potential, and I think it says something that in a league where you're always it feels like teams are always looking for, where can I find shot creation? Where can I find shot creation? Where can I efficient shot creation? Where can I find efficient shot creation? That this dude was probably, not even arguably, was the best shot creator in college basketball for the first half of the season, and he still fell to 10th. That says a lot. That said a lot to me. And I am happy the Knicks did not end up with Johnny Davis, but we'll see. It's only been 4 preseason games and summer league, but none of that has been very good. Matt from Down Under, Aussie Knicks fan. RJ and Brunson are our 2 best players. No argument there. I don't think anyone would give you an argument on that. And I'm so excited to watch them this season. Lock them both into finishing top 3 in most improved player. I've seen enough. Fire emoji. Has there ever been 2 players to finish in the top 3 and most improved from the same team? I don't think so. It would have to go back to like the early 90s or the 80s. I don't think that's ever been the case. Certainly 2 from the same team to finish in 2 of the top 3 in 6-man. That happened at least once recently with the Clippers, and maybe multiple times. Yeah, and Utah. It happened with Utah. 2 years ago with Ingles and Clarkson. I'm going far afoul of this question. I don't know about both. I could see both getting votes. I could see both getting votes. Of the 2, you could tell me 5 different Knicks got votes for most improved. You could tell me Mitchell Robinson gets a lot of votes for most improved player, and I would believe you. And quite frankly, after how he's played in this preseason, I don't know. His numbers were very gaudy though last year, and he's like, yeah, no. So it probably won't be Mitch, but I think RJ is the bet. Because I think even if Brunson makes an all-star team, I could see him finishing in the top 3, but I don't think he'd win it because I think people would ultimately be like, he's doing all the same things he did in Dallas. He's just getting more minutes and a bigger role. And I think that would prevent him from winning it. I think RJ's path is also tough because he averaged 20 points a game last season, and his efficiency would need to go up considerably. And I don't know that I see that. And the team would have to win a lot. And they'd have to win a lot with him playing like a massive role. Like I don't know. Honestly, I would not place either of those bets. But they're also not nuts. So we'll see. Renix. First super chat. Thank you for joining the party. We appreciate the contribution very much. You guys are the best. Oh, I love these super chats. Thank you. Can't wait for the season and following the content you guys put out. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I can't believe this is now my gosh, my Lord. This is the 5th season that I will be doing these post games. They didn't start until after the All-Star break during the 17-win debacle of a season. That's when they started. And then, kept going from there. What a wild time. Hush Zoo. What's going on, Hush? Cam has no one to blame but himself. We're coming after Cam with this one. Was given a golden opportunity and fumbled it. Is what it is. Everyone looks great. Can't wait for more Grimes minutes. Yeah, I can't wait for more Grimes minutes. I'm not worried about Grimes at all. It's early, but every new contract is great. Yeah, completely agree. I think the team looks great. For the front office looks great in terms of how they approached the offseason and what they did. As far as Cam, I mean, it is evident because like he could poo-poo the like, oh, I never made a trade request or whatever. Like Berman clarified that several times. Like that, and like I don't care what the specifics of it. The fact is that Cam would like to be in a situation where he can. I can't believe we continue having to say this, where he gets an opportunity to have a starring role. For him to have that viewpoint and it does not seem like he has budged off of that viewpoint at all. Is just, it's not strange. I wish I could say it's strange. It's not strange though, because we've seen a ton of guys come through the league and they think they're stars and they never adjust their games. And then before they know it, they're out of the league. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Cam, but it's just it's ironic that the reason he can't get time on this particular club is that there's a guy in front of him in Quentin Grimes who was literally faced with the exact same situation as Cam Reddish is faced with right now, except instead of being faced with it after his third or second, whatever you want to say, NBA season, Quentin Grimes was faced with it after very early on in his first college season when he was a top 10 recruit, top 5 in some people's eyes. And it was very clear that it was not going to happen at Kansas. So he could have gone in any number of directions. He transferred to Houston, and Houston told him, you're going to be a 3-and-D guy. And you know what he said? Okay. And he's done everything in his power to perfect that role over the last now 3+ years. And is it too late for Cam to do that? I don't know. But that's what he's going to need to do, because there's what team is going to give him the usage and minutes that he desires? I don't know where that team is. Anthony 6, though. What's going on, Anthony? RJ's 3 looks better and real. Completely agree. I love the way it looks. Mitch looked more coordinated and controlled. Coordination, good word for that's on point, 100%. He does look very coordinated. And again, it's not that we haven't seen him look coordinated before, but the consistency, that's the key. Brunson is fun to watch. Hashtag lightning and Brunder. Hashtag Reverend Brun. I like Reverend Brun. Lightning and Brunder? I don't know if I could get behind that. Reverend Brun, I like Reverend Brun. What about Brun DMC? But we don't have anybody with those initials. Do we? No, I don't think so. Robert Cross, back for more. Is it fair and reasonable to say, no, it's not fair and reasonable to say, Robert, that RJ will be better than Spida in 2 years? God, Robert, why do you do this to me? Hashtag evergreen. You got that right. Hashtag 53 wins. I'm not putting any ceilings on RJ Barrett. I'm not putting any ceilings on him. He just keeps getting better. And he's 22 years old. And if we keep saying the same thing, that he keeps getting better, and he gets better from 22 to 23, and 23 to 24, and 24 to 25, and 25 to 26, well, 26 to 30 or 26 to 31, whatever you want to say, for most players, that's the prime of their career, or 26 to 29, whatever. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more years of improvement before he even gets to his prime, if it's steady and if it's consistent, I'm not answering your question. I'm not putting any ceilings on him. That's for sure. Forgotten NYC. I'm already sold on Brunson. Nothing else to say. I'm so happy to hear these things about Jalen Brunson from a lot of people. And I feel like, and again, this is not anybody's fault, but I just kind of took Brunson for the second he signed here. I'm like, okay, great. I know what this is going to be. Here's the thing that complicated things with Brunson for me is the Donovan Mitchell pursuit, because I wondered, because all of the questions that came with well, how far are the Knicks going to go with a backcourt of 2 small guys, one of which is a very poor defender in Donovan Mitchell, although he has the tools to be a better defender, and another of which in Brunson is just he's not a large man. He's thick, but he's not tall. And you saw tonight when Bradley Beal took him into the post like he was nothing, that will rear its head sometimes. But I think the whole Mitchell thing kind of dulled my enthusiasm for the Brunson signing. Not because I thought Brunson was not as good or anything, but I was like, all right, well, if they get Mitchell, I guess Brunson's not going to have as big of a role here, because you could only have 2 backcourt guys with so big of a role on the same team. Although I guess we'll see in Cleveland. Anyway, but he makes he makes so many tough shots. He was 10 of 16 tonight. Scored 27 points. He got to the line 4 times, made 3 of 5 from deep. He blends on and off ball so well. And he does all the little things. And he fights so hard on defense. He's top 50 NBA player right now without question. And I think that's too low. I think there's an argument that he's a top 40 player. That's what I think. Frank Sound. Randall willing to adapt was a major takeaway, in my opinion. There we go. We got some Randall love here. I'm happy we got it because he deserves it. He was good tonight, and he was good all 4 games. And I killed Randall all offseason and most of last season. And if he's going to be good, I'm going to say he's good. Again, he was only 3 for 11 from the field. I thought he was 3 for 10. It just went up to 3 for 11. I think they gave him another field goal attempt. Not perfect, but I'll stay consistent because what I've always said, if you're Julius Randle, you can miss shots and that's okay. How are you approaching the game? How are you doing everything else? Are you trying your hardest? Are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing on offense? If you miss shots, so be it. I'll live with it. And I will. Good comment. Jamie Lee, what's going on, Jamie? Bench unit got a solid plan A, but lacks in plan B. So, here's the thing. I think the bench unit works best when Derrick Rose is in and when Derrick Rose is initiating the offense. Because Derrick Rose is still the one guy in that bench unit who can, as he did tonight in a really, really nice, I think he made 1 field goal. Yeah, it was really pretty. He could still break down defense and everybody plays off of that. And Derrick Rose had a beautiful dime to, I forget if it was Hartenstein or Toppin, but someone for like a very easy basket. And I think Quickly plays better off of Rose and the whole thing. You take Rose out of it, I think it's just a little harder for them. I think they could still be really good. And I think once Hart gets going and, Obi gets at it, and like that's the other part of it. Like, Quickly does need to make shots, I think, for the bench to work. And one other thing I'll say on the bench, I thought it was interesting that he opened the 4th quarter, Tibbs did, with RJ and Quickly, Hart, Obi, and who am I forgetting? Quickly, Hart, Obi, and Rose. I thought that was interesting. And I wonder how much RJ, because here's the thing, and again, I've gone back to this a few times in the preseason, but like in the starting unit, I do think RJ is just going to be asked to spot up a lot because especially if he's hitting the spot ups. And I think the offense is going to run through Brunson primarily. And I think the offense is going to continue to run to a certain extent through Julius Randle. And RJ is going to continue to get his drives and all that. But like in terms of really kind of directing the offense a little bit more, I wonder if those opportunities are going to come more for RJ when he's with the bench. And might that help the bench unit with what they do? I don't know. Something I'm going to be looking at moving forward. How many minutes a game does RJ play with the bench? Something we should start tracking. And Kevin Danishevsky with one more. Cam to oh my God. I can't even read this out loud. Cam to China. I hope the Lakers want him. I just like, what happens if they go to Memphis and he doesn't get off the bench? Because I don't think he's going to. Like, what then? And then Tibbs is going to get asked about it after the game, whether they win or lose. And he's going to sit up there and he's going to say, well, we need everybody. And Cam's is still an important part of this team. And, he's situational right now, but that could change because things always change and guys get injured and blah, blah, blah. And all the things Tibbs says. But the fact will remain that he will be out of the rotation. And then the Knicks have a guy that they just traded a 1st-round pick for who is out of the rotation. And how long does that last? And what do they do about it? I don't know. Dean Bushel, what's going on, Dean? It's great to see you. Been a lovely Saturday morning here in Oz. I hope so. John, will you backtrack on your 43 and 39 call? I will not. And Dean, I would urge you to listen to the end of the Patreon pod that came out today. Again, I think this team would do very well to win 43 games. And it has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with them, and it has everything to do with the fact that the way the league is structured right now, there are so many teams that have essentially gone all in. Like, again, just consider that there are two teams in Cleveland and Atlanta who really did make their versions of all-in trades this summer for Murray and Donovan Mitchell. And those teams are pegged to finish 7th and 8th in some order in the East. And the teams that are immediately ahead of them on most people's bingo cards, I think, would be Brooklyn and Miami or Toronto. And like, again, Brooklyn all in. Miami between the Butler extension and the extended hero, and they're out, some picks, like not all in, but like mostly. So many teams are playing for the now. Minnesota is playing for the now. The Clippers obviously are playing for the now. The fucking Lakers can't even probably get in the top 8 in the playoffs, are playing for the now. All of these teams are playing for the now. It's going to be hard to beat those teams. And there's like 18 of those teams in the league. So if there's like 18 of those teams in the league, and on the other end, yes, you have these teams that are trying very hard to lose, but you don't get 2 wins for, and I'm not saying the Knicks are going to do this, but if the Knicks go into Utah and beat Utah by 30, or go into Oklahoma City and beat Oklahoma City by 30, that's not worth 2 wins. It's only worth 1 win. So, like, because of the way the talent is distributed in the league right now, and because the teams at the bottom have made such an overt effort to not have any win now, or with some exceptions, much win now talent, and the win now talent that doesn't exist on some of those teams, they'll probably get traded at some point. And because there's so much win now talent at the top of and middle of the league, that's what it really is. It's not even the top of the league; it's the middle of the league. Which is where the Knicks would have to make their bones if they were going to win 44 or 45 or 46 games. It would be like they would have to win the middle games. And that's going to be really tough, because teams look at the teams in the middle. They're really good. I don't know, man. 43, if they win 43, what an accomplishment that would be. Incredible accomplishment. I'll say that. Good question. Jamie Lee back for one more. I thought Mitch deserved around how much Gafford is getting paid. So Gafford, I believe, got 3 for 39. I always forget if the third year on Gafford's deal is fully guaranteed. Or did Gafford get 3 for 42? Now you're gonna make me look it up. He proved that he is in a different class to Gafford, and that he's not overpaid. Yeah, I mean the Gafford contract was kind of an overpay the minute it was signed. And I think that raised some eyebrows, but I think it also didn't really raise some eyebrows because it was Washington, and Washington has given out their fair share of some of those contracts over the years. But I think the more interesting comp for Mitch is where you look at what some more responsible teams have done with centers over the recent years. Like, again, not Valanciunas, Steven Adams, right? Just signed for $12 million a year. Mitch is at $15 million a year. Okay, so they're comparable offensive rebounders. Mitch is obviously a superior defender. How much more is his superior defense worth? Is it worth the $3 million more per year that he's getting? Is it worth the additional guaranteed year over what Adams has now? Because now Adams is at 3, Mitch is at 4. Is it worth more than that? So those are the more interesting questions for me. I mean, you look at Robert Williams. Robert Williams was a guy in the finals that, like, there was a moment in the finals where people were like, oh my God, he's like the difference between the Celtics winning this finals and losing this finals. He was that important. He only makes $13 million a year. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough. Depends on what contracts you look at. Gafford, yeah, man, that contract is fully guaranteed. 3 for $40. That is a number. Anyway, okay. Next up.
That's it.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah. I did promise everybody in the chat, though, that if they stuck around to the end, I would give them a little special something. Let's give them a sneak peek at what KFS's imaging and graphics will look like on starting, I guess, Monday, if you please. John, do the Thanos snap. So 1, 2, 3, snap your fingers.
I can't snap my fingers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to, like, embarrass you. Like, okay.
I can't whistle.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do it then.
I could barely walk and chew gum at the same time.
You should have gone for the head.
Hey,
there you go.
I like that.
So this is what KFS's new graphics package now looks like. So this will be on all the post games and all the YouTube channel graphics as far as the podcast is concerned, all interviews on that. So there you go.
I dig it.
I dig it too. Shout out to XJ. He's been consulting every time I like, how's this? So
are you backing off your 45 win prediction, or you're sticking
no?
with it?
See, all of these teams that went all in, I agree with you. And like going through it today, it was the first time I was like, oh, that's how they only win 40 games. But we were also being super pessimistic. We also didn't factor in any injuries. We also didn't factor in that, like, last year, nobody saw Portland just being like, nah, I'm good with winning. You know, I'm factoring in that there will be other teams that show up that are like, all right, we'll pivot. And the Knicks will not be one of those teams.
I don't know about that. When we did our exercise, and shout out to all of our patrons listening, and anybody who wants to potentially become a patron, you get the bonus episodes if you're in the mellow tier or higher. I like to think that that's worth it.
Highly recommend it. Yes.
We penciled in Washington as like, oh, Washington will stink.
So that's not what we did, though. What we did was we like read how many games they play against each team, and it was like 2 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. Yeah. The Knicks on paper should take 2 out of 3 from the Wizards this year.
Great. You know what the Wizards fans are saying? Oh, we should take 3 out of 4 from the Knicks.
Yeah, well,
I'm not saying that
they're smart.
Okay. My point is
I also gave them 4 wins in the division.
You gave them, and last year they won 5 games in the division, and I know they're better this year, but also you could argue that the other teams in the division will be better.
And I'm saying Knicks are one of those teams that got better in the division. I think, John, to their fault, they will try to win 45 games.
I think they'll try to win 82 games.
Well, yeah, I'm saying to their own detriment, they will not be one of those teams that will strategically pivot at a certain point. It's like when you're fighting your little brother and then all of a sudden you like ease up and then the little brother's still fighting. It's like, oh, we stopped fighting months ago. What are you talking about?
Let me end. I'll put my final point on this by saying this. The play-in, I think, makes such a massive deal here with this conversation, especially when you consider the teams that figure to be in play-in range. So whereas there has been some sentiment of like, oh, Charlotte will start to tank out, or Washington may start to tank out, or potentially like a Portland if things go really haywire. or Chicago, who you brought up on the pod today. Like these teams will start to tank out. Okay, fine. Put all of not Portland, but put all of those other teams in the at some point they will start to tank. You know who's not going to start to tank? Atlanta and Cleveland and the Lakers and the Kings.
The Lakers and Kings are 4 games on the schedule. The Atlanta and Cleveland conversation is real. That's why I have the Knicks as a 9 seed with you.
And okay, fine. The Nets.
Yeah.
They owe their pick.
Oh, they owe their pick. Yes. Can we just you have not said one positive thing about the Nets this entire offseason, whether it be analyzing what they'll be this year. Like, am I guaranteed that Kevin Durant's going to be healthy for that game?
That's an organizational critique. They still have a lot of fucking talent.
I agree with that. I mean, I will say today on Patreon, we did say they were one of the teams that could win the title given all the stars aligned. So, listen,
but that's my point is that you're not getting the top 8 or top 9 or maybe top 10 in each conference will stay sturdy throughout the entire year. There will be no gimmies in that range of teams. That's all I'm,
45 probably is just my most optimistic one. And pardon me for wanting to believe in some things, John, after the tumultuous baseball season I just had. I think the path to 40 wins is there. And I think
100%.
But I think the path, like what the exercise we did on Patreon today, guys, if you're not on Patreon, please go check it out. We actually broke it down mathematically how the Knicks get to 40 wins. And when I was done, I was like, oh, that's how I lose my bet with all of our town hallers that said 42 or over and I owe them something. I still think we did it just from a worst case scenario standpoint. We're not factoring in I don't think either of us think that they could go into a lot of these Western Conference teams and win. And what if they do? And that's what I'm factoring in. The competent point guard play and being deep enough to be 1 through 10 will help this team out. And this is something you'll like. Competent head coaching as well will help them.
The thing we haven't talked about once because it doesn't sell is how they went out there for the last 4 games and their defense looks like it's in midseason form.
Mm-hmm.
And I could pretty much guarantee you that if you watch any other preseason game for almost any other team, you're going to see one team or two, more likely 2 teams where that is not the case.
Bucks went 0-5 in the preseason this year.
Well, they probably aren't trying, but
right. But that's my point is that they're not going to be in any season form on opening night. They will be in opening night form. The Knicks
defense. But they also have a lot more talent, and talent ultimately wins out. But the fact that the Knicks do still have Tibbs as the coach, and for better or worse, he is still good for a baseline of consistency and competence and the whole thing, where through 2 years, put aside the Randall thing, which is I never want to talk about it again. That's been pretty consistent. We'll see.
I think 45 is the optimistic take. The over on 38.5.
Bet the over.
That is the thing I'm more adamant
about.
Over. And as far as Tibbs is concerned, the non-Kemba Walker team that we saw last year was above 500, and now it's Jalen Brunson. That's more the calculation I'm making. Yes, the East is better. Yes, there's not Philly doesn't have one half of their big 2 missing for half the year. Brooklyn doesn't have a guy just deciding not to play home games. There's Cleveland obviously got better. Atlanta got better. I get it. The East got better, which is why I don't have them higher than 9th. But I also, 82 games of competent point guard play between Brunson and whatever we get from Derrick Rose. And look, whatever we get from Mayo quickly, I think will make a big difference in what we've seen the past 3 years.
Your selling point for 45 wins is that even putting Brunson aside, it is not a stretch in the least to say that every single player on the Knicks roster this year will be better than they were last year.
Agreed. One can't be worse, but yes, agreed.
But we should almost expect that all of them will be better this year. And
there's also no Elfrid Payton. There's no like one person that we're gonna point to and be like, he can't play. You know, there's 10 people in this rotation. Like, granted, who plays when is gonna be the conversation, but I'm telling you, this is what's up.
They were 37 and 45 last year.
37 and 45. That's why the over being 38 and a half. And I get it. Vegas sets a line and then just collects on who's betting the over, who's betting the under. That's more what they're doing. The house always winning. I don't understand how they're not 2 wins better than last season. I understand if they're not 9 wins better, but I don't understand how they're not 2 wins better.
Without Kemba, they were 21 and 24.
21 and 24 without Kemba.
Without Kemba.
What were they after the All-Star break? I thought they were 13 and 12. Which is that's the calculation I'm making, because some of those games without Kemba were COVID games in December when Omicron had Damian Dotson playing games.
If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, so the games that you're talking about, I believe, are the Oklahoma City game on New Year's Eve and then the Toronto game one day after New Year's Day. Both of those games they lost by 15 points.
Yeah, there's other 2 random games. Wasn't there a game where? What game did Damian Dotson play?
I don't remember. But if you just take out those 2 games, right, then that gets them to 21 and 22 without Kemba. If you don't count those 2,
would it make you feel better if I said 42 and 40?
I think they're gonna win 40 games. I think once you get me to 41, 42, I start to get a little queasy.
Fine, 46.
43 is my 46. You're crazy. 43 is my ceiling. Okay.
Jonas Plout. Before the season, I picked the Astros and the Dodgers. I have no reason to back off of that now. Okay.
Oh,
he asked what my World Series prediction was.
We just got an update.
What?
Lakers Russell Westbrook has a left hamstring injury and won't return to the game tonight versus the Kangs.
The Lakers got better. That's me. No, I can't. That shouldn't say that about Russ. You don't wish injury on people.
I also would like to read this before we go. A reporter asked Mitchell Robinson after the game about having a pure point guard now after Alec Burks played the point last year. He hesitated, thought it over, then wagged his finger at the reporter and responded as if he were a disappointed father with, "That's rude." And there's a video on Knicks videos that Ian Begley has retweeted, which I am going to watch as soon as we're done here.
Hold on. Ian Begley retweeted something? John, yes. We have the capability.
Oh, my goodness.
Through our new found thing. Okay, hold on. Let me go to it. You will all get to see this. Because
this is a test of our newfangled whatever we have here.
Okay. So we'll wrap up with this.
Okay.
There's
wow.
Robinson.
There it is. There he is.
Mitch, last year, a lot of time.
You can hear it?
Had Alec Burks starting as point guard, kind of more.
Well, that's not great.
Almost. One day we will master technology.
Almost.
One day. Anyway.
That was set up so perfectly.
It was set up so perfectly.
Watch that. Damn it. Okay.
Well, listen, you gotta get the old Wi-Fi working. All right.
Now it left the screen and now it's working.
Of course.
Is that different?
That's rude. That is.
So okay, there. We tried it, and I'll get the Wi-Fi working. So literally, when it leaves the screen, when it leaves the stage, is when it works better. So there you go.
Good to know.
We have one more super chat. People are mad that I have the Astros. I don't have. Listen, for all of you Yankee fans that were predicting the Braves, the Astros are the best team of the last 10 years. So it was a safe pick. Go ahead, read the super chat.
Adult Donkeys, A Time for Turtles, just the best name. Great stream. Thank you so much, Adult Donkeys, A Time for Turtles. Mostly for your name.
Yes.
Okay. This has been fun. Andrew, thank you as always.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah, have a great weekend. We'll next pod that's dropping is what?
Monday morning. Although, if you I'll plug this at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Is the latest edition of KFS Study Hall with Sean and Chris. They will be on Twitter Spaces, the Knicks Film School account. So jump on with them if you want to be on there live. If you'd rather listen to it later, the 2-parter will be out sometime Sunday morning before football. So, and then John and I will be back Monday morning because Jeremy is still on vacation for a couple more days. And then we'll be rearing up and ready to go with 2 guests, 1 crossover, 1 beat writer on Monday and Tuesday. And then the fun begins on Wednesday with the season opener.
Giddy up, baby. I'm ready. All right. Talk to you later, guys. Peace out.